Hello everyone and welcome to another movie review by Centipede Geek. In this video I will be talking about my thoughts on the animated film by the name of The Spine of Night. It's a new film made this year of 2021, now available on Amazon Prime I believe. It'll air next year on the streaming app known as Shudder. It was directed by a team by the name of Philip Gillette and Morgan Galen King, and it stars people such as Richard E. Grant, Lucy Lawless, Patton Oswalt, Betty Gabriel, and Joe Manganiello. And forgive me for any mispronunciations along the way. The team behind it, just kind of a couple of fun facts before we get to the plot of the film. They wrote a cult horror film by the name of They Remain. They also wrote the script for a science fiction drama by the name of Europa Report. I remember watching Europa Report, really liked that one. I don't think I've seen They Remain, doesn't ring a bell at least. And then they also wrote the script for the Netflix series, 15 episodes, called Love, Death, and Robots. Not familiar with that either. But overall, this film, I don't want to spoil too much before I get to my full review, but pretty much what this film revolves around, like I said, it's more kind of like a dark, animated horror fantasy with bits of drama and other stuff like that in there. And pretty much what it's about, it revolves around this flower or this bloom. And when someone gets a hold of this bloom, it causes all these different, they kind of get attached to it, and it makes them power hungry. And it's almost kind of like, if I had to compare it to something, I don't want to compare it to it, but if I had to think of something, think like Lord of the Rings, The Ring. Whenever they put that ring on, they're lured into its trap, and the trap of Mordor and all that kind of thing. So if you just think of that thing, that's kind of how the bloom is in the animated film, The Name of the Spine of Night. And that's pretty much what the main plot of this movie. Overall, what did I think of this movie? This film was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed it. This is one of those rare oddities of sorts where you probably haven't seen a film like The Spine of Night in several years. And if you have seen a film like The Spine of Night, it's probably been many years since you've seen a film that's even remotely similar to this. If I had to think of anything close in comparison to compare it to, I would call it a heavy metal. It almost reminds you of something that would air on Adult Swim, but maybe even a little darker than, Adult Swim animated stuff goes. It has maybe a little bit, I would say, of dark humor in there, but for the most part, The Spine of Night is a mostly serious tale. There's a little bit of dark humor, black humor in there every now and then, but like I said, for the most part, it's very serious. If you like to see all kinds of lots of blood, all kinds of really cool looking animation, the way the facial movements and the reactions are just done in a really spectacular way where you can notice every nuance in the blink of the eyes and their smirking and the dimples. It's just a greatly animated film. There's also some really cool, I would say unique, interesting, and some bizarre visuals, spoilers coming up, as there's a scene where this prophet character, really cool twist in the film, this prophet character gets a hold of this bloom, per se, and then all of a sudden this librarian gets a hold of it, and his body starts to open up, and an eye opens up in his stomach, and these tentacles flare up. It's got some really neat animation in there, and like I said, you probably haven't seen anything like this, and if you have, you probably won't see anything like The Spine of Night, at least for a long time, because this film is a very unique film. It's very bloody. I would call it ultra-violent at times. If you're looking for something wholly and truly original, I would definitely recommend The Spine of Night. I would call it, as I said earlier, a heavy metal masterpiece. It was really a neat movie that I think a lot of people, it's got some great people in there. Lucy Lawless, like I said earlier, Patton Oswalt, Richard E. Grant, Joe Manganiello. So it's got a great cast. They do a great job voice acting these characters. Overall, a really neat movie that I think a lot that's kind of been really went under the radar, being the kind of movie it is. It'll be really neat to see. I know it's been received very well in Rotten Tomatoes. I believe it has like an 85 or somewhere in the 80%. So it's been received very well. It's already premiered at several film festivals, and like I said, available on Amazon Prime, and then I believe it's going to be on Shudder sometime next year. So it's really Rotten Tomatoes says with a horror fantasy story that stands in service of its eye-catching animation, The Spine of Night is a distinctive treat for genre enthusiasts, and I would definitely agree with that consensus. Don't always agree with Rotten Tomatoes, really hardly ever do I, but I would definitely agree with this time, at least this time around, right? Once again, thanks for watching my review of the animated film by the name of The Spine of Night. Also has a really cool story to it, a really cool mythology as it digs into the backstory of the Bloom and the girl that climbs up the mountain and meets the person who, the guy who's been up there for many years, making sure no one gets a hold of the Bloom. Just a really cool story too. But make sure to like, comment, subscribe below, and as always, thanks for watching.